Do you know what? I can't be bothered with intros. You know when you're making YouTube videos and you think it has to be so polished? Well, it's not going to be polished, all right? Because this is real. These are my thoughts. It's going to be a bit raw, so it's kind of like you're here for the content. I can't be bothered with all of the niceties, but I'm nice, but I don't want to bother with all the niceties. So anyway, let's just get right into it, okay? So I've been watching so many videos. I've been fascinated with mermaids my whole life, and I've been watching so many videos, especially videos that are coming out of like the Haitian communities on YouTube about mermaids, la sirène, matelot, that's from their other place, river mama, mami wata, ocean. Yamea, all of these are not necessarily mermaids, but I've just named water deities in various different community cultures. So the question is, you see people in comments, I feel connected to mermaids, I feel connected to the water, like, am I descendant, am I this, am I that? And this is an example of one of the ones that I saw on the Chronicles of the Zoe channel. A lady wrote, this content person said, mermaids actually mated with men in the past and gave birth to babies on Earth. Wait, mermaids actually mated with men in the past and gave birth to babies. Or that's biblical belief. On Earth, especially in the Caribbean region of the Earth. I'm probably a descendant of that. I've had over 20 dreams of someone telling how the goddess of the ocean is after me and how I'm one of her descendants on this planet Earth. I'm like, what the F type of dream is this? I'm not even trolling at this point, alright? I'm as serious... I'm as serious as a racist judge that is about to give a black man 15 years in prison for a petty crime. Vivid imagination there. My dreams must be so real and coming to pass is what she meant to write too. And the girl that owns the channel, Ivana, apart from laughing at the racist judge comment, said, I've only had one dream like that and it was recent, but I didn't think anything of it because it always feels like I'm having dreams about someone else's life, so I ignored it. I can't swim anyway. And it makes me laugh. And the girl on this channel talks about how she was born with a veil, like a call, like that is a belief in some cultures where if you're born in what they call a call, it's like when you're born in the membrane of the sac, all right? And it's often said that people that are born that way, it's almost like a veil, okay? So it's like you're born, it's like, so you're born and you're somebody that naturally sort of sits in two worlds. Hello, you are speaking to one of them as well. Except I wasn't fully born in a call. I was a C-section birth. My birth was incredibly interesting. It was a very interesting birth. I'm just going to put it that way. But the same basis behind this is my life. Okay, that's my life. So you see here, this is the kind of example I'm talking about. Like, and I don't know all the answers, but I'm just going to give you the answer through my perspective and through the things that I've been learning about the things that I know about myself and what I'm still learning. And that's why I want to just do it raw, because who has all the answers? I'm not claiming to, all right, my perspective. So these are some of the questions that you see, and I think these are very legitimate questions because people want to know. They're like, I feel a big connection. What is going on here? Am I this? Am I that? What could be happening? Like, clearly as well, let's say dreams could be symbolic, so it might not even be very literal. But also the parts that I want to start talking about are the fact that it's not always literal, but it doesn't always mean that you're not connected and that you're not a descendant of sort, but it's more of a soul lineage thing rather than a literal going back years and years and years and years and years thing, and then I'm a descendant of this, that. Not that can't happen, but I want to focus on what it means to be water coded. So let me just say a little bit more. I don't want to say too much more because this video is going to be so long already. Like, I just pressed record and just started. But when I say water coded, so I'm specifically talking about it from this perspective, all right? What does it mean? So it is like a fragment. I always see the soul as like, imagine if you've got one big flame and then you have all of these little spits of fire, these little individual flames that come off of the one big flame. That's kind of how I view like the oversoul. And so each little flame that flicks off is a version of you, another version of you, a version of you here now, of another aspect of you that is maybe in another dimension, in another world, in another, cosmos, whatever, all right, however you choose to view it. But there's just many different facets to your one being. So some of these aspects of you are perhaps in a completely different time space. experiencing something completely different. Okay, so to make it kind of like, make it less cosmosy, less cosmic, less multidimensional, I'm going to just give it the analogy of your phone. Let's just say our phone is like the oversoul of sorts, and each individual app, all the apps and the things that you have on your phone are other versions, other aspects of you that reflect you, all right? Because that's what you're interested. So they are all living side by side in harmony, unless the space gets too full up, just like my phone is right now. But it's all running at the same time. All of your apps, everything that is on your phone is running at the same time, and you dip in and out of whatever you need when you need it. But I'm sure that there are certain apps or certain parts of your phone that you may feel or that you actually might have a bit like spend a lot more time in. So therefore there's a lot more space taken up by, let's just say, your TikTok app. Maybe you love being on TikTok. Maybe you are an artist, so you're out here, maybe you're big editing apps. Maybe you've got Photoshop. Maybe you've got multiple photo editing apps, right, that you run concurrently. So, if I was to pick up the phone of somebody who was like an artist and I'm seeing, oh, well, there are loads of photo editing apps in here. Must be a big part of that person's personality. There may be another one, and I'm seeing a lot of fashion things. I'm like, oh, this person is really into fashion. Certain aspects of you just step forward. It doesn't mean that that's all you are, but it just means that that's very clear that at this point in your life that is very important to you. So it stands out more. This is kind of how I describe some of like the water-coded soul fragment, because I call it a soul fragment as well, of how it can operate. So I'm water-coded, but that's not the only aspect of me, but it's one that is quite dominant in this reality. We're multidimensional, right? So that's kind of how I'm choosing to describe water coding. So according to how I define it, to me, being water coded is a soul code. I am water coded myself, I should say, by the way. I could go into the nuances of how that looks for me in another video if anyone's interested. But it is a soul code. It is a blueprint. I consider it a blueprint in your being that links you to water, not just in this life though, and not just in the physical earth waters, but I'm talking across timelines. It's deeper than just loving being in the water, as much as that's really nice. It's an actual frequency, all right? It's a signature that is actually imprinted in your etheric DNA. Okay. It's not just mermaids. Point two, it's not just being a mermaid or what all that brings to it, all right? Not everybody that is water coded is a mermaid, and not every mermaid is what you think, all right? Because I prefer to say aquatic beings, Marian coded aquatic, because a mermaid is a type of an aquatic being, which is why you hear these encounters. You hear they were ugly, it looked amphibious, it looked fish-like, frog-like, which is amphibious. You do get them where it looked humanoid, it was pretty, because they're they're aquatic beings. Not every mermaid is the same, and I don't just mean they're not all good and they're not all bad. I literally mean not every aquatic being is the same. We have flesh and blood beings, which most likely are predators in the ocean. They're also high-dimensional, connected water beings. So not everybody is a mermaid, and not every mermaid is what you think. Okay. Basically, the spectrum is huge. My archetype, I've got quite a few archetypes that I don't need to talk about here right now. But we're talking about water here that I embody. The ones that you most would likely recognize me talking to you right now would be Lady of the Lake. So I embody the archetype of the Lady of the Lake thoroughly, as well as Mami Wata, which, even though is often personified as a female, it is the energy of all waters. All right, it's the energy of all waters. So I carry these codes, and I guess you could say I'm a child of the water or daughter of the water. But I don't serve. There's a difference. So 3, how you might recognize it. So we've got the stereotypical, drawn to water, you love your bath, rivers, oceans, rain, all of that kind of stuff. Do you get psychic downloads or creative hits when you're out in water? I do. All right. Do you feel like you are recharged when you get into water? Literally, like the bath even. You don't need to be in the sea. You don't have to be in salt water. You just need to be in water. Does it bring you... Do you feel revived? Do you feel like you literally charged up your batteries? Okay. I know I do. I can feel like absolute crap. I get in the water. It's like I've had Marriott mushrooms. Personally, for me as well, I like to be underwater for a certain period of time. And let me tell you right now, I can't swim properly. I can swim, but I can't swim. I absolutely hate the deep ocean with a burning passion. Past life business and other things. So I don't go into the ocean much. I like to go into the shallows of the ocean, but I don't go in. All right. I stay away. Maybe according to some mutation stories, I'm going to get snatched up because maybe they want to get me back. But I'm not going in. But my bath time is not just a washing. It's a necessity. It's a necessity to feel, not to feel good. I like to go under the water, my eyes open for a bit. I like to be under. That makes me feel very revived if I'm under the water for a while. So let's get into this. So you got sensitive to lunar cycles, tides or weather. Emotional resonance with water scenes in myth, film, art. So that is now when you're like, oh, you love Ariel, you love, you like Atlantis imagery or Lady of the Lake or, the oceans, the Mermaids. You're very, very connected and you feel very, very in awe or just liking the information. I mean, this is the basic bits that will pull you in to want to be researching about this stuff. There's that. Have you had a past life recall? Dreams involving water aquatic beings, floods or thresholds between worlds. Now, this is a dodgy one, I'm going to say, because dreams can mean many things. Like I've dreamt of air quotes mermaids, and I know that it's not a literal thing. Okay, so you don't want to be interpreting too literally, but at the same time, you don't want to also not interpret literally. You kind of have to start to learn how to decode your own dreams and to kind of go with the intuition. I know it's not as easy for some people, and some people it's just very natural. So I know that I'm someone that I dream walk, and I'm very symbolic. That's a part of my coding, though. To read into these things or to be able to decode these things. So the more I practice as well, the better I get. So I can quite easily tell what is happening in a dream at times, even if I'm recalling it in the morning. So I'm not saying it's easy, but that's why these things are it's not a tick box. And as much as we like having labels, because it's good for us to understand what we're talking about, we don't want to fall too victim to the labels, because then it becomes hard to navigate your consciousness when you're thinking, no, this is what it is and what I am, and it's not gonna it's very hard to keep the waterways open, pun intended, okay, of your mind. So that's why it's a journey. You're unfolding within. All right, you're trying to unfold within. So let it unfold, let it happen. Find people that you can talk to or that understand what you're talking about and unfold it within you. It's not just a tick box online where if you like the beach, you have a dream or two, or whatnot, suddenly you're a mermaid or you're going to be snatched by mermaids. I'm not saying that certain pantheons and certain things don't exist like that, but let it unfold. Okay, you've been here a long time. Your soul has been here a long time. It's not a race either. Okay. Do you note that kind of major symbolic events or big things in your life, I don't know, meetings or whatever, breakthroughs that you've had often cluster around water, like very literally, or even symbolically? This is why I said I'm going to talk about pattern recognition in a minute, so it will tie into recognizing that. So trips, holidays, rituals, if you do that sort of thing, or sort of powerful dreams. I know pattern recognition, noting, I'm noticed I know in the moment, but looking back, I can tell you I can show certain very key events that you would almost feel are akin to kind of, leveling up, whether it's in life whether it's through your spiritual beliefs, initiations of sorts, that kind of thing. We're always going through these, like almost like soul initiations, as well as whatever it is that you're connected to. Mine tend to really happen, or tend to be connected to water is involved in, and water is involved in some way, shape or form. So think about it, or even around symbols connected to water. So it doesn't have to be literal water. It's more the bigger picture rather than individual small things, because some things might look really silly or mundane, okay? That you start to feel like, there's something there. It's definitely in the patterns and not the stereotypes that usually reveal the code, but be on the lookout. Internal waters. So let's get into it. So for what it means to be water coded, it's a lineage, it's a vibe, it's a role. Sometimes it is ancestral and sometimes it's soul level. You might be connected to actual spirit lineages, like those in religions who serve La Sirene, Imea Ocean. I personally, I'm not from those traditions, but I recognize the resonance. So for me, I'm a lady of the lake, high priestess archetype, a walker between the worlds. And for me also, because like I don't want to get it twisted, I don't want people to think I'm saying something that I'm not, so I kind of have to tell you a little bit more than I would probably want to at this point. But I think it's important because people are all on their own path. So you're probably thinking, so how do you know, Rosie? How would you describe yourself? And like I'm saying, like I feel like, yeah, I don't serve like in those traditions. And in the Caribbean, I don't do that, because you might be thinking, well, that must be you, because that's the way that these things happen. My role, I'm not here to serve in that way. I witness and guard. So I don't serve any of these water beings, even though I'm water coded. I'm not a devotee. I'm not a priestess in that traditional sense there. I'm an observer. I'm a bridge. I'm a walker between the worlds. Threshold guardian. So think of me and my codes as like a bouncer on the threshold. I see the inside and the outside, but I don't party with the mermaids every weekend, as fun as that could actually be, to be fair. Well, it is if they're not going to try to eat me, all right? My codes are what allow me to be there and do that. Not everybody's going to be there like in that way, but you've got your own. And I guess that's why I'm deciding to start talking about some things, because there are more things going on in reality than we know. As we're saying, there's more to the sea that is undiscovered than we know. There are also more things to us and how we're built that not everybody knows about. So while there are definitely these, there are the priestesses and people that serve, I guess, these deities in different religions across the world, that's not the only connection to these, for what we're talking about, bodies of water. And I say water because water is something that we have water here. Water wouldn't necessarily be like water if it wasn't here. I remember hearing that water, as we know it, actually came from another dimensional space. And it isn't like the water we see. It's more of this ethereal substance. So do you see what I mean? It's kind of like, I love all of these stories, but sometimes things are not as literal as we kind of imagine them to be. So there are more roles out there of how you can be connected to things than specifically just a descendant or serving, So water coding is personal. Everyone's blueprint's a bit different. What water means for one may not mean the same for you. And for me, for you. There are all kinds of blueprints, all kinds of initiations. Some people have fire codes, air codes, earth codes. You'll know yours by how you feel and how you move in the world if you tune in. Okay, the things that draw you in, the synchronicities that follow you around. Start to read your reality. Start to read your reality. Start to tune in to synchronicity. Don't go too mad. Tune in. We are interacting all the time with our reality. It is like a live action computer or video game. You are constantly seeing things. There is magic in the mundane. I cannot stress that enough. There is magic in the mundane. I see things on a daily basis. I can read you paragraphs of what are going on based on just a walk to the shop. I'm always tuned in, but again, I don't want to make it sound like you must be that way as well, because like I said, my coding's in the way that I am. It's very specific. I'm like that for a reason. So I see a lot more than most people. Okay, so, but everybody still can see to their own degree, right? Like, come on. So, from all of that, are you water coded? What do you reckon? Maybe. If you feel a resonance with the water that's deeper than just like, I like to swim, maybe there is a story there. If these mermaid stories are enthralling you, maybe there's a story there. If you're having dreams where you're like, it feels like something, even if you can't quite decode it, maybe there's something there. Start to write things down. Start to notice the pattern. Pattern recognition. Oh my God, it's so key. I can't tell you how often people don't recognize patterns because they're so absorbed in phones and daily life and more phones and everything externally that people just don't recognize the most basic patterns. You don't need to be hyper vigilant. Notice the patterns in your life. Notice the patterns within you, because there is pattern. This whole cosmos, people talk about sacred geometry and it's mathematical equations and it's, you know, there's physics to it, and that we see these, you know, the spiral and the golden ratios. There is pattern to this. It's not random. That pattern is the macrocosm of the microcosm. It filters down. There's patterns everywhere. We have patterns in our daily life. How your routine, how you go to work, how you wake up, what you like to eat, the way that you like to eat, the order in which you like to eat. Like, for instance, like, man, if you've Jaffa cakes, who likes to just eat them all, or like bite half and then eat half? I don't know. Patterns to how you eat Cadbury's cream egg, actually. Are you just biting the top off and just eating it? Or I was going to say something else there, man. I was going to say, but do you just lick out the inside? Some people do that, man. What is the pattern to how you do things? We all have patterns. Recognize the wider patterns in your life, all right? And then you might start to, you can start to see what's going on within you, what's trying to come out, you know? So, that's going to be my little mini video for this time on, you know, what are water codes? What does that mean? And I'll hand it over to you. Trust your knowing. Let me know. I want to know in the comments, like, you water coded? Do you think you're water coded? Do you know for a fact you're water coded? Or are you thinking about it? What things do you like? What things do you don't like? Talk about the mermaids too. Oh God. You know, I want to say certain things. I want to talk about certain topics, and I will. But I try to find a way to say things that A, is understandable. And B, listen, I'm just a regular girlie out here living my life as well. I do get overwhelmed, and I worry that things I say might be interpreted wrong. And I also don't tell everybody about my own personal business. I'm not a talker like that. I keep my cards close to my chest, not to be gatekeepy, but because, you know, some of these things are very personal, and it can be difficult to talk about these things out loud to people that you don't know, because you don't know how they're going to take it. You know, we can all be sensitive to how we're perceived and what people think about what you're saying, and the internet and all this trolling. It makes you not really want to open up and say things. So I'm very aware that I kind of like hold a lot of information back, and I'm trying to find my little feet, or my little flippers. Oh, I shouldn't say flippers, or my little tail. A part of my journey is speaking up, not repressing information myself. I repress myself in so many ways and don't let myself truly be seen or come forward, because, you know, you worry. But I feel like part of my path is to actually bust through those blocks. So I'm trying my best. So that's why I'm like, I can't be bothered to do the polished videos, because I find it like overwhelming. I like to just talk from the heart and talk. But I'm aware that I might start at that in ways. I might censor myself unconsciously, because I'm sort of feeling my way through how I'm feeling when I'm saying what I'm saying, and like how it's coming out. It's like a shyness. It's a shyness on that front, until I feel comfortable with what I'm saying. So yeah, there we are, my loves. There we are, my loves, my little flippered loves, my little mermaid-tailed loves. I do love these mermaid stories, and I am looking for encounters and stuff like that to talk about on my channel. But I don't want to just talk about mermaids, but because that's just all water coding, because that is a big part of my life, but it's not everything. I want to talk about elemental beings. Have you seen any? Have you captured any on pictures? I have. I want to start sharing these things. I want to start talking about reality a little bit more. So at the moment, I find it easier to start with the MERS or with aquatic things, because it's something that brings me a lot of joy, reading other people's encounters. I like to get scared with everybody else. I like to be like, oh my God, I like to be just sitting there eating popcorn as I'm hearing all of these stories. Like, to me, I'm just like, this is so tea. I love this. I love this. I love it. I love all the weirdness. And also, as I'm listening to these stories, my coding and the way that, because I'm like a walker between the worlds, right? I'm somebody that interprets this information. As I'm hearing people's stories, I'm storing it in my mind. It's going through like, I'm starting to cross-reference and compute with other information, and I'm drawing like these different conclusions that are coming in like as downloads, right? So it's so interesting to me, but I want to put these things together so that I can put it back out to talk about with people, because it's just adding to the pie. So I love hearing stories. So I'm going to go now. So anyway, that's my video today on what it means to be water coded. It's just a slice of the pie. Please, if you have anything to add it. I would love to know. Until next time, bye.